Hey, Doomsdayers, welcome to episode 2 of Doomed Radio. It's myself, Captain Morgan, with Rage.
How you doing, guys?
And today we're just going to take it back a little bit, catch up on some nostalgia. We were talking about it over the week, and I'm going to date myself when I talk about this, but one of the games, actually the game that got me out of my Sega era and into the Nintendo 64 era was Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire. I thought it'd be a good game just to reminisce about, considering that Star Wars Battlefront is coming out at the end of the year. One of the things I loved about this game, I saw it at a buddy's house, and I didn't even see the whole game, but the very first level was the Hoth battle, and you were the snowspeeder, wrapping wire cable around the legs of AT-AT walkers and blasting ATSTs and probe droids, and it sold me. I think that's probably really when my healthy addiction to video gaming started, and I really, looking back on it and reading about the game, brings me back to that time in my life when I was so enjoyed the Star Wars universe. I actually, unfortunately, want to say that this game is probably one of the few really quality Star Wars games that LucasArts put out.
Captain, was it a 2D game or a side scroller?
No, it was 3D. It was a third person 3D. You get to fly ships. You played as a buddy of Han Solo. Your name was Dash Rendar, and you were leading Rebel Force against the Empire.
Yeah.
And so the cool thing about the game is it was such a good variety of gameplay. You know, you would be on foot blasting stormtroopers and all sorts of minions of the Empire, but then you get to fly Outrider, Dash's ship, and blast bombers and TIE fighters and asteroids and stuff. And you got to fly a speeder bike through Mos Eisley and ride atop a train. I can't remember the robot's name. It was like IG-88 or something. He was an assassin droid, and you had to go track him down and take him out. And it was so versatile, and you could go back and do them all over again after you beat them. Some to collect challenge points, and unlock stuff. But it was so awesome. Like all the Star Wars sounds, all the TIE fighter sounds, all the blazer blasters. But I would always just play the Hoth level. It was the coolest thing to fly around. And it was in the Mario 64 era where that independent operable camera, what they were playing with that in all these 3D games, and it wasn't perfect. I can remember a lot of times when, especially on top of the train, moving along the train, where I fell from the train simply because I didn't know which way I was jumping. You know, one of those ones where you push forward, it's not really forward, it's kind of like directionally left.
Yeah.
so that, it certainly wasn't perfect, but it was fun, and that's why just thinking about it makes me giddy, and that's why I'm really looking forward to Star Wars Battlefront, because based on what I've seen now, it looks like they're kind of getting back to that variety of gameplay where you can be on foot, you can fly around, and even on a speeder bike.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, I understand the whole Hoth battle thing, man. Like every Star Wars thing ever made, I've always loved Hoth, just because.
Yeah.
Like come on.
It's just like the story alone. I mean, it was such a tragic battle, the loss of a major rebel base, and really the emergence of the Empire as the ebb and flow of control. The Empire was in control. They were smashing the rebels to pieces, and just these small pocket stories of like Dash Rendar and who's the other guy there? He got his own series, the Jedi Knight series. What was his name?
Jedi Knight series.
Yeah.
Is that one of those older ones too?
Yeah, it is. Kyle Katarn. Actually, the first Kyle Katarn game was like the live action cutscenes, and it was awesome. It's so awesome. I was geeking out over it, but that's it's such an awesome universe. You have all these pocket stories, and some of them cross over and connect. And it's just a really nice way to branch out in gameplay, in video game gameplay,
Yeah. Considering like the age of that game, man. Yeah.
Yes, Rage. It is a very old game.
No. I'm just saying.
When that game came out in 1996, I was a junior in high school.
We're a wee lad.
Yeah.
Ready.
Yeah. But I could also afford to buy it for myself because I was 16 and I was working.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, besides that, man, that game, I just pulled up a picture of it, man. Now it reminds me, I'm like, holy shit. This is like, it's like Doom era almost by the look of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously after Doom, but.
Well, yeah. But I mean, I look at the way it's like laid out, and it's obviously better looking than Doom. But I mean, for its age, it's definitely
it's awesome. It was like there was one area where you were just in this big room. I think it was like an air hangar or something, and you were battling an ATST, like the Chicken Walker.
Yeah.
It was just these epic moments. It was awesome. Awesome game. And if you have an emulator, I would highly suggest going back and playing through it. It's going to be hard. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you're going to be taking a huge step back in time, and the controls are going to be clunky and ridiculous. But I would certainly encourage it, just to round out your knowledge of how video games have progressed and really where the 3D isometric third-person shooter started. Because that's really the grassroots of third-person shooters started in that time frame, in that time area.
Right. Well, what system was it for?
Nintendo 64.
Yeah, man, I know what you mean by that. Like, I remember my first transition from 2D games to my first 3D games. You see it and you pretty much splooge your pants because you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
What the
ridiculous.
What the fuck?
Yeah, oh my god, I'm flying a snow speeder.
Oh my god, these graphics. Oh my god.
Look, you can see like shadows in the snow.
It's like looking into the Ark of the Covenant. You see, like, it's gorgeous. Yeah. Oh! You can't take it with your regular vision. You just your skin melts off.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it was also one of those games where it was the stick controller in the middle of the Nintendo 64 controller. That thing took a beating on that game.
That's like every game, man. Like I remember. Almost. For N64, I remember there's one. I don't know if you ever heard of it. I think it's called Gemini.
I think I heard of it, but I never played it.
That was like one of my favorite. I don't remember much about it because it was a long time ago, but I just remember that being the only shooter I ever played, and I could never beat it because just like all older games, they're fucking impossible. But I mean, besides that, man, those N64 3D games that they made, were fantastic. You cannot be
solid. But of course, that was the height. That was, the height of Nintendo was the 64. After Nintendo, they had some success with their handheld units, but they've really dropped off. It's kind of sad.
Yeah,
Anyway, we digress.
Yeah, but either way.
What game brings you back?
I gotta say, I remember this game from a long, long time because it was one of my favorite 2D side scrollers. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called Gunstar Heroes. It actually came out originally on the Genesis.
I had a Genesis too, but I don't know. I never played it. I remember hearing about it, but
I just remember a lot of this game because I grew up with it and I played it with my dad and my brother. And this is like one of my first multiplayer games I ever played with the two of them. And I remember in it, I can't exactly remember the story, but the boss fights were like one of the best. Like you're just at one part, you got like these speeder bikes and shit, and you're fighting like these guys in this train. It's all 2D, mind you, and everything in it was fucking hard, just like most 2D games, like Battletoads and stuff like that.
yeah,
But it's one of those God, what's the word I'm looking for? It's basically a run and gun kind of game, if you know what I mean by that.
yeah, like a run and gun,
Yeah, you get what I
side-scrolling
mean, right?
shooter. Yeah,
Yeah, but you played as these two guys. God, so long ago, man. But either way, like the end boss is this dude named General Gray, and throughout the entire game, you're fighting these minions, stuff like that. And it just takes place at so many different areas. Like I said, like when you're fighting like I believe one's like a rocket, not or like a rocket that's about to take off. You have to like keep on jumping up these platforms. It was one of those fast paced games.
right.
You know,
What was what was like the selling point for the gameplay?
selling point, the one that got
Yeah,
me.
it was like
Well, first of all, I mean, I remember it being like one of the nicer 2D side scrollers they ever made. Like it wasn't like completely pixelated like some of the older ones, but personally, I like the what you could do with the weapons. Like you find like these elements all over the place, and you can and they each have different attacks that shoot from your weapon. And you can there's like four different ones, and you can combine them. When you combine them, they have different effects. Like they'll alter the way your gun shoots, the amount of what the projectiles are, and you could just combine them in like 16 different ways, depending on like what elements you have. And like I said, it would just make it like an all new weapon altogether. But yeah, that was honestly the most memorable part of the game because of the way they did it. Back when I saw that, I've never seen anything like that. I'm like, this is fucking genius.
yeah,
Like,
that's cool.
oh man, I think this game they released it on the Apple Store. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, dude, if you ever get a chance, check it out, man, because
Yeah, maybe I
I've
will.
had so many good moments with this game. And the bosses were fucking hard too. But besides that, man, out of the 2D side-scrolling games, this is like the prime rib of them for me, man.
Nice. Yeah, I love just thinking about all the games I used to play.
Oh my
You know,
god,
without
man.
the weight of hunting achievements on them, or the amount of time you have to expend in a game now to see it
Exactly.
and
Like,
enjoy it. I mean,
hey,
take Skyrim for example. I mean, you got to put 10 hours in just to get into the beginning of the game.
yeah, I understand that. And then the 2D side-scroller, you're putting about 10 hours in the first level.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly is a different kind of
Things have changed.
time suck. Yeah, totally changed. All right, so currently, what's coming up? And how is it after Advanced Warfare? I had pretty much given up on Call of Duty franchise as a whole. I mean, Ghost was terrible. Advanced Warfare was just as bad in my book, and I'm just kind of done with it. And then not Treyarch, no,
Trick.
yeah. So with Treyarch doing Black Ops 3, I kind of got back on board, and then I started thinking about how much fun I had playing Black Ops 2, and I started to sell myself a little bit more on it. And then I started reading about Rainbow Six Siege, and it's really starting to sway me. So I did some more checking up on it, and it's swaying me even more. So anybody who have followed E3 knows everything, pretty much everything there is to know about Rainbow Six Siege. There was a playable demo at Gamescom, so there's a lot of firsthand information out there now about it. But I really gotta say, this game looks amazing. But there's a few things that have me worried about it.
Like,
have you heard about this at all? Heard about this game at all?
me? Yeah, of course I have. And like I love Rainbow Six, man. Just from its beginning games to my favorite ones.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of where it falters. It's really taken a step away from the series as a whole because they're not including a single player storyline. For one, which kind of rubs me the wrong way, but it's Ubisoft, so they're bound to take something good and screw it up anyway.
Yeah, that's such a point.
Yeah, but I mean, Rainbow Six has always been about tactics. It's always been about team-oriented gameplay, about getting together with friends and dominating either another team or people who get thrown together as a ragtag bunch, and doing it tactically. Using flanks, using cover fire, using cover, and advancing to an objective. And Rainbow Six Siege is doing the same thing, only they're doing what I have always wanted every other shooter to do, and that is use destructible environments.
Oh my god, that makes the game sometimes those destructible environments.
It really does. I mean, by like blowing out walls and ceilings, there is no one way to an objective now, which is huge when you think about a game like Rainbow Six, where you can't really corner camp in a room anymore because the wall right next to you could come down, could blow out.
True. It's like Battlefield in a way.
A little bit, yeah. I think the action's a little bit slower paced. There's a lot of planning involved. For every round, there are two parts. It's on the attack defend. There's the attackers have a chance to send out some drones and kind of see what the defenders are doing, and then defenders use their abilities to kind of lock the map down with barbed wire and wall reinforcements and door reinforcements and things of that nature. And then when the action begins, the attackers have access to a closed circuit camera system to keep tabs on, or the defenders do, to keep tabs on the attackers. And so it becomes really important to communicate and work as a team, which is awesome. However, I kind of think that after the first month of gameplay, everybody except the hardcore team players are going to burn out on it, because it's not going to be one of those games where you jump in and play and have some success, because if you're playing against a team, you're going to lose.
Yeah,
You're going to lose.
That was the cornerstone of Rainbow Six. It wasn't just like, oh, you can fucking get in there and solo a whole team of people. You died really easily in that game.
Oh, very. Yeah, if you don't work as a team and cover all your corners, then you're going to lose.
Exactly. That's why we love Rainbow Six.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Come on.
So yeah, what has me moving towards that a little bit more is and speaking of reminiscing, is just thinking about how much fun I had playing that game with other people, and how difficult it was, which will turn some people off, which is fine. But thinking about Vegas and Vegas 2, and really the terrorist hunt. Come on. We love doing a terrorist hunt.
Man, I know you did the multiplayer, man, but I never rolled multiplayer because I always ran around in light armor, and there'd be some dude with like a fucking pretty much with a wall built around him in armor, and I couldn't
Yeah.
kill him. But besides that, that's why I always ran Terrorist Hunt, man. Terrorist
Yeah.
Hunt was my favorite mode in that game because it was you play in the hardest mode because it was fucking hard and it's scary. Because terrorists are scary, man, especially when they
Yeah.
come out of nowhere with a shotgun
Well, that's
screaming
just
at you.
it. I mean, they had spawn points, so like it wouldn't. And I think they could probably do it now, but back in the day, because of the processing power, they wouldn't put all 30 enemies on the map right away. They
Yeah.
would spawn them in small waves.
Exactly.
And if you didn't traverse the map tactically, then you were going to get flanked and you're going to die quickly.
Yeah, which brings back your whole team talk before, because honestly, I can tell you how many times that you go inside a building, and all of a sudden the fucking enemy comes running up behind you and blasts
Right.
you. One hit kills you. So if you don't have somebody watching your back, you can die. Your whole team can die in an
exactly.
instant.
That's right. Advance with cover fire, and what's cool now is because before it'd be like, I know there's a terrorist on the other side around this corner, and you're like, I can't. There's no way to get him out. You either had to go in and get lucky, by shooting him before he blasted you.
Right.
Because they would always shoot before you, like instantly before, like right before you appeared, they would start shooting because they were AI controlled, and that's kind of how, that programming, that's how they rolled.
Exactly.
That's why it was hard mode. But now with characters like Sledge, who his main thing is carrying a sledgehammer so that he can smash walls, you don't have to worry about that anymore because if there's a terrorist behind the corner, you just smash the wall next to him, and your teammate can take him out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I do have a question. Do you know if they added in a jump button? Because I remember that was something that
I don't. I would imagine I can't see them having a jump button, but I can't imagine them having like a vault button. Yeah, some kind of sensitive, like a sequence sensitive button. Like you walk up to a ledge, you can't jump, but if you press A, he'll clamber up it.
Yeah, I expect that because they had that in the other Rainbow Sixes too, but they never had a sprint. As I don't recall them ever having a sprint or a jump button.
Yeah, no, you can't. You're not supposed to run. I mean, you're supposed to move with purpose.
Oh yeah, I know that, but sometimes you got to go into berserk mode, man. Because I remember, as I recall, I remember slowly walking around the map when you're down to the last person on your team and there's only one more terrorist left. It's the most harrowing thing I've ever been through in my entire life. Because you don't know where the fuck it's at. But sometimes it's good to run and gun, man. I mean,
sometimes.
I mean, I got to see how it's laid out, personally, in Rainbow Six Siege. If it's laid out...
I have a feeling that, if you're going to run and gun, as long as everybody's moving together, you'd be okay.
Yeah, that's true. It's not even about the sprinting. It's just as long as the layout of the game is good, I'll be happy. Because I didn't need sprinting in the other games.
Right. I mean, sprinting is the sprinting. The use of sprinting depends on the game.
Depends how big the map is too.
Yeah. Well, each character is going to have different perks and abilities and equipment. So it's going to be important for a team to go into a match with a variety of equipment, so that they can be versatile in the match.
Right.
Anyway, I am moving towards Siege now. Because there are at least a half a dozen games coming out through from September to January 1st that are on my most wanted list, and I'm probably only going to be able to get one or two of those. And Siege is really starting to outpace Black Ops 3. So.
Yeah, man. As long as they got some of the key features on it that sold me, like you're able to rappel up walls and shit like that, you can. I loved customization in that game, gadgets. your different pieces of armor. As long as they have those things, I will be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Customization is huge. Everybody wants to be who they want to be.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
For Rainbow Six, so sometimes you got to be something a little bit different to complement the team.
Oh, I understand that.
And that's what I love about Rainbow Six. If everybody goes in with shotguns, and somebody with a long range weapon is going to kill all of them.
You needed a little bit of everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, I think that wraps it up for this episode.
No, man, I completely agree. I mean, holy fuck. Time flies, I gotta say.
Yeah. So, hey, Doomsdayers, thanks for tuning in. This has been the second episode of Doomed Radio. I'm Captain Morgan, and my compatriot, Rage.
Yeah, guys, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you listening to us.
Yeah. And feel free to look this up on our playlist. As the episodes build, you can use Doomed Radio to fill your time driving, exercising, or just when you're hanging out, listening to music, throw us on instead.
Or shit, if you're feeling ambitious, you can have some sex listening to Doomsday Radio. That's just an option, though. You can do whatever you want.
That's really awkward.
And no, I'm probably going to cut that out.
No, you can't, because you said you're going to cut it out.
I know.
Anyway,
right?
guys, thanks for tuning in. And as always, happy gaming.
Happy gaming, guys. All right.
Awesome.